Who would have thought, by the way, who would have thought that it would be this administration, that it would be Biden's White House that brought us apparently the most dangerous dog of all time? If you didn't read the story, basically Biden's dog, named Commander, by the way, that's a Cujo-ass name right there. That Commander, what happened to Skip? Like, anyway, Biden's dog is on record. They've been keeping a tally for biting people at the White House 24 times. No dog should bite more times than years you expect it to live. 24 is a high number. And I think a lot of people are looking at this the wrong way. I really do. A lot of people are out here being like, I can't believe they letting this dog run amok in the White House. Why can't Biden control his dog? Everything. I think they're looking at it the wrong way, I'll be honest with you, because in my opinion, I'm on Commander's side. I really am. Because a lot of these dogs out here, they wear the vest. They wear the vest that says emotional support dog, and they talk about them being emotional support dogs, but they not really about that life. Every emotional support dog I've ever seen has been very passive. And now we want to punish one for taking action. Commander just got good ears. That's all it is. His ears good as hell. Dogs have great ears. Commander hear everything. He in the White House. He hears people. He hears people on the other side of walls, behind doors, talking shifty behind Biden's back. You know how politics can be? And then they walk out into the hallway. And Commander standing there, looking at him like, call my daddy old again. No, don't back up. Don't back up. No, you was talking all that good shit earlier. What's... Say it again. You know what trips me out about this story? You know what really stresses me out about it? Is that when you read the story, Biden's dog is on record biting 24 times. That's what's recorded, which means there are definitely unrecorded bites. That's just the ones people felt like staying to file something. Some people went to the White House, got bit, and didn't want to stand around to be like, it was him. Ooh. The other thing that really trips me out about this story is that the dog is on record biting 24 times. Never said 24 people. Which means somebody getting bit extra. There's a chance this dog has only bitten 5 people. He bit 4 people once, and then some poor dude named Wallace was just catching it. Non-stop, once a week, he knew. He knew that ass was grass. He knew. I'd like to think. I'm sure that for that many bites, that means that Commander bit somebody in at least one of Joe Biden's Zoom backgrounds. Biden on with the Prime Minister or somewhere, you just see somebody in the background going like, But I think they're looking at it the wrong way. I really do. Talking about why is this dog even in the White House? He bit Secret Service. Just make Commander Secret Service. Secret Service is very predictable. I actually worked at the Tonight Show when Obama visited, and so Secret Service was there. And you see them in action. Look, big dudes look very Men in Black. They got the shades, they got the earpiece, everything. They're standing next to the door. I'm not gonna lie, that must be like hell when you Secret Service, because anytime you stand next to a door, there are people that are like, is the president behind that door? But yeah, you would see Secret Service stand there, and look, I'm sure they're very good at their job. I'm sure they could kill you any manner of ways. But tell me what's more intimidating. A dude standing there that you might be able to get past, or a random dog. A random dog standing in the hallway that we know bites. It would fix so many different things if they would just let Commander be Secret Service. It really would, Sometimes Biden is giving a speech, and look, please, it's fine. It's me. You don't have to hold back, all right? It's me. I'm your friend. Don't pull back on me. We all know that sometimes Biden is giving a speech, and we are like, just get through it. We all know it, It's fine. You don't look. I'm just stating a fact. All right? Don't pull back on me. I also voted for the man. Fox News is not here right now. We can all be honest. Sometimes, not every time, not every day, but sometimes Biden is giving a speech and it low-key looked like he having side conversations with death. We've all seen it. He is addressing the nation. And then out of nowhere, he'll be like, and he cussing death out too. Like he really let death have it. Like, you said you wouldn't take me on a Thursday. Why don't you get out my face? I'm trying to do something. And then he'll turn back to the camera like we didn't see any of that. The man is getting distracted sometimes. It happens. It happens to all of us, You get distracted. But I think that's why you need Commander. Instead, just Secret Service stand behind him being all quiet at everything, you have Commander walking in front of the podium. Stalking. Looking for who he likes, who he doesn't like. Commander sees somebody and he's like, hey! Cut that out! Commander getting loud is exactly what Biden needs. Every 30 seconds, Give him the speech, you go to turn. Oh yes. Everybody wins. I love being here though, cause y'all are great, you know. Genuinely, I don't know. Some parts of Portland do confuse me, and I'm not acting like I did the reading. So just let me be dumb for a second. You don't need to explain any of it. I'm just saying it did. 12 bridges is a lot. At 12 bridges, I don't know if everybody try to get in or everybody try to get out, but that's a lot of bridges. That sounds like y'all just let somebody go. Like you just let somebody cook who really like making bridges. Like everywhere you took him, he was like, you know what would be dope right here? Like, don't say it, Steven. Don't say it. No, we put a bridge right here. Oh, it's gonna be lit, and it won't. But there's a bridge right there, Steve. And it's like, yeah, but you're not always over there. Sometimes you over here. And over here doesn't have a bridge. I'm trying to bring people together. You're trying to block blessings. 12 bridges is so much. Look, this is gonna make me sound dumber. I don't even know where all... At 12 bridges, one of those bridges gotta be to Narnia. There's no way that y'all have 12 different bridges going somewhere. That's crazy. I like being here because y'all are very, very self-aware people. Maybe the most self-aware of any city that I've ever met. This is generally distressed. You'll just be making a general observation, be like, man, things are kind of odd here. And y'all are like, we know. We try. You know? And you'll be like, I'm not complaining. I've had very good food since I've been here, but y'all have some of the most like, it's too many weird things at once. Do you know what I mean? That's my, if I could give you a note. As a city, you have mixed and matched the weird in too many different ways as to not seem like you are on planet Earth. I was just trying to have some eggs Benedict. And it's crazy, you in a place where you getting delicious eggs Benedict and somebody's balls are out right next to you. And I'm over here, dipping in my hollandaise. I have not, this is my thing. All of this, I have not been here long. All of Portland happened to me today. At least New York gives you like a second before someone robs you. They let you get situated, get a little comfortable, let your guard down, then they snatch you. Y'all just come right out the pocket. I met somebody acting crazy as hell. Not even just acting crazy as hell. And that was my Uber driver. That's like, y'all really don't mess around. Y'all want people to know. So y'all are some of the most creative. I'm just trying to use nice words for it. I saw a dude with a cape wearing a computer monitor. dancing to no music. This man just on the street like, all right. Blown away, but I've had some good food since I've been here. Y'all are interesting because it's like y'all are weird, but also like some of y'all just very, very healthy, health conscious, healthy food and everything. This seemed like the only city in America that might have organic crack. Like y'all are really doing it all.
Make some noise for Josh Johnson!
What a week. You know, like I don't want to jinx it, but I'm feeling pretty good. I think we got him. I think in case you didn't know, Diddy has been arrested and charged with just almost everything. Initially, it was sealed, and we just knew they were going to be holding him for a little while. And then they unsealed, and we were like, what? Because Diddy is very important for people to understand. Diddy is, when I say a monster, it's just because I don't want to swear. Diddy isn't the monster the way that, like, a person in your life that you know is evil is a monster. Diddy is a monster in the way that I'm pretty sure even the devil is like, ooh. Ooh, somebody coming for my job. And I know that, you know, you're supposed to say allegedly. But he did all of it. He did everything. He did everything that I believe that Diddy did whatever they say he did. And that doesn't just apply to like the cases he has now. I believe Diddy did stuff he hadn't been accused of yet. I believe Diddy caused inflation. He's even, if I'm not mistaken, being charged with arson in connection with blowing up Kid Cudi's car. Who blows up cars? Let's talk for a sec, because here's the thing. I do understand the intimidation and the general paranoia you build in a person's life when you blow up their car. All right? So I get why people like Diddy and the mob blow up cars. It's very effective. You know, somebody's thinking about testifying and then they're going out and then they go, beep, beep, boosh. And they're like, maybe not. But to blow up a car, really, because he's not blowing up the car himself. Diddy wasn't getting under the car with something with wheels on it in the back and then rubbing wires together and then taping it and then letting the tape fall and be like, and then taping it back. He sent someone else to do that, you know? But they arrested him, and they arrested him. I gotta look at this again to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty sure the warrant had every name he ever went by in it. Just in case he opened the door and been like, who? No, I don't know a Puff Daddy. No, there's not a Puff here either. Would you be looking for just a general Diddy? Because he's not in. I go by Brother Love. This man did everything. And then they arrested him. They got him locked up in Brooklyn in one of the worst places to be locked up. It's really bad. Here's how bad it is. It's so bad that prison alone has had several murders, and it is so bad condition-wise that 2 federal judges have already said that they will not send anyone else there. That's where they sent him. And this dude... That's where they sent him. And this dude wanted to make sure he didn't go to jail so bad. So bad. Properly. Like, he put it all up. This dude was willing to pay a $50 million bond. Do you know how much you did it? To put up $50 million. $50 million is the type of money where you're like, I can't, first of all, most people don't make $50 million in their entire life, right? So for you to put up that money, just not be in jail yet, you know jail is coming. $50 million. Do you know what you could do with $50 million? You could fix a small country with $50 million US dollars. $50 million, and he was like, and I'll use my home and my jets as the bond. Like, this dude was putting up proper collateral of things he has. Mansion, jet, all of it. And the state said, nah. Just to fully paint the picture, do you realize that the same country that said nah to that is the same country that has bail at heights that are actually unconstitutional for regular people, right? They will, if a judge doesn't like you, or if they feel like, okay, this person maybe didn't do it, but I know he doesn't have means, they will set an unreasonably high bail, which is against the Constitution, just to make sure you can't get out. But they didn't deny your bail. They just set bail at something you couldn't possibly pay, right? That same country got offered $50 million bond. And they were like, nah, because I know you. You know how bad they want you if they don't accept a $50 million bond? And so he's sitting in that jail, and his lawyers are trying to get him out. They went to that judge, and the judge was like, no, I heard what you do. You blow up cars for no reason. How am I supposed to believe? They're like, he's not a flight risk. It's like, no, he won't have to fly if he tampers with every witness we have. No. So the judge denied bail, and then they went to another judge, and they were like, look, $50 million, okay? Got the mansion, got the jets, all right? We also, how about this? I'll stay at home, all right? And I won't interact with any women that aren't the mothers of my children, right?
which is a crazy, what? I won't interact with any women except the women I already terrorize. What an insane. Also, we know you're a predator to dudes too. Like that you're not being slick, being like, I won't talk to any women. No. This dude is the devil. So they denied it again. And his lawyers were pleading. They were like, please, listen, the prison that he is in it's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. It's terrible conditions. It's traumatizing. You know, it's in his mental health. You can't be at a place like this, you know. And then the more they described it, the more I was listening. I was like, that just sounds like Diddy's house for everybody else. They raided his house, found all manner of stuff. They found 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Let's be clear here. Diddy is a monster. Diddy is the devil, right? The 1,000 bottles alone was enough for me to lock him up forever. Are you drinking it? 1,000 bottles. 1,000. Booga booga. I went to a friend's house one time, and it was just like a little quick get together. They had made dinner and everything. I went to the bathroom, right? And I had a headache before I got to the party. So then, you know, I told them while I was there, I was like, hey, I've been having this headache for like hours. Do you have like an Advil, something I can take? And they were like, yeah, go to the bathroom in the medicine cabinet should be the Advil, right? And so then, you know, chatting, I finally go over to the bathroom. I open the medicine cabinet. The Advil is not there. And so I go to that lower part, you know, under the sink. I'm like, maybe the Advil will be under there. And under the sink, I saw 3 bottles of baby oil. And I was like, these are some freaks. They do not have a child. And they had 3 bottles of baby oil. 1 bottle means you get busy. 3, what are you stocking up for? The fact that Diddy had 1,000 means he should be under a prison right now. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like to be Diddy's lawyer. You gotta imagine it's a pretty good job to have. Because he's about to drop millions and millions of dollars in court and on lawyers that no one expects to win. Think about that. Anyone in here could be Diddy's lawyer. Like, he not gonna beat the case anyway. It might as well be me standing there like, yeah, that's him. He says he didn't, so take that into consideration. You know what I mean? Just filing motions. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That is crazy. I mean, what can you do if you're Diddy's lawyer? They have so much. They have so much because Diddy did so much. He did it and he recorded it. He recorded himself doing everything he did and blackmailing people. So then when the people say he's been blackmailed, the feds already have the tape that they're talking about that was being used to blackmail them. So he basically made his own case this entire time. as Diddy's lawyer, all you can do is be like, that one tape is grainy. We don't know. We don't even know if that's him in that one, okay? The other 222, yes, but this one is hard to make out who is in there at all. We don't know. Diddy's lawyer was on camera taking questions from the media, which seems like a bad idea. You know, because unless Diddy has a twin, his lawyer doesn't have anything to say that's helpful. Because the lawyer was just talking to some of the press, and there was someone who asked him, they said that they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil when they raided his house, and his lawyer did his best. He put in a valiant effort. This man said, well, I don't know if it was 1,000. It was a lot. That's your lawyer. It was a lot. But you know, there's a Costco just down the street from his house, and as you know, Americans love to buy in bulk. The whole time he's talking, you could tell he's trying not to laugh. It's like, if he's buying the baby oil in bulk, why wasn't anything else in bulk? You know, it's insanity. We should have known, and I think a part of us did know, that Diddy was the devil when he did Making the Band. If you're too young to remember, there was a time when MTV had music on it. And in that time, Diddy, who I think went by P. Diddy at the time, maybe, or Puff, or it was Puff, he was him, okay? And he did a show where he would try to make a group, right? A hip-hop group or an R&B group or whatever. And throughout the course of that show, he would America's Next Top Model these people, all right? He would put them through absolute hell. There was one time that I think he made them walk, I'm gonna get this wrong, but he made them walk from like Brooklyn to Harlem to go get him a piece of cheesecake. And we watched it and we were like, that seems excessive. I don't know what that has to do with singing. The show ran for a few seasons and a couple of people came out of it, but most of the groups pretty much failed because he wasn't really making a group. He was just manipulating people. He was just being terrible, you know? I think we should have really known who Diddy was through and through a couple Halloweens ago. Because I don't know if you remember, but Diddy went as the Joker, and he was an impeccable Joker. This dude had prosthetics on or something, and he looked more like the Joker than Heath Ledger did. This dude had the hair and everything flopping to the side and stuff, and he had the movements going. He had a purple suit, had the green hair and the red lips and the big scars and everything. It was truly terrifying. And everyone he ran into was like, oh, good costume. Chose Halloween to dress up as the Joker. Halloween, a day where we all put on a mask. We all pretend to be someone else, except that nigga. Like, that man was just wearing his true skin. This dude was walking around as a Joker like I've never felt more free. Everybody terrified when they look at me. He he rolled up on Tyler, the Creator. And Tyler, the Creator, was just looking at him like, He got into it that night with an actor on the show Power. I believe his name is Michael J. Ferguson. And I don't know what started the altercation, but all I know is people started filming it, right? And it was Michael J. hands low and everything. He had big muscles, he a big dude and everything. And he's cursing Diddy out. Right now, he just thinks he's cursing this weird joker out, I think. You know what I mean? Because he's just going at him. What? What you gonna do? Nothing. You know? And then Diddy, for his part, you see the turn. You got to see every little piece of Diddy in that moment. Because at first it starts out, and I really don't even know who was in the wrong, but Diddy just seemed a bit offended. He was like, what did I do to you? I'm just out here trying to have fun and everything. And then you see a turn, and then he's like, well, then let's go. Why would you? And then the threats come and everything, and then someone else goes, yo, Mike, that's Diddy. And he doesn't seem to care. He just keeps jawing at him. And then Diddy, for some reason, decides to like let it go, right? Even gives him a hug. And he was like, oh, it's all good, man. But how about you come to the after party and check the vibration? And I was like, man, this is the devil. Where is Batman when you need him? There's two types of blackmail that Diddy engaged in, right? One was the blackmail that was coercion, right? It was basically, he would have these freak-offs. That's the name of it. I didn't come up with that just now. Don't look at me like I'm sick. I saw your faces. I said it because it's the official term. It's in a government document now. It's not just street slang. It's not Twitter talk. They said, the Attorney General said freak off when he was addressing the nation. So I'm saying freak off. Well, he would have these freak offs, right? And, he would be recording while it was happening. And one of the things that he would do is that if somebody was an unwilling participant and they ever turned on him or told him that they were going to go to the police or they just weren't going to do what he said, he would tell them he had a tape of them and they wouldn't want to get that tape out, right? So he would blackmail them that way. But the other way he would blackmail people is he would have these wild parties and he would be taping everybody. So if you just show up and you do something you're not supposed to be doing, maybe you cheat on your spouse, maybe you do. He's got blackmail on everybody, top to bottom. Two types of blackmail. It's absolutely crazy. So many people want this dude dead. They put Diddy on watch, make sure he doesn't hurt himself, because it would make a lot of sense. If there was ever a time to do it, it'd be now, Diddy. And so they put him on watch and everything, and that's gotta be wild to be like a powerful person, one of Diddy's friends, knowing you were at some of these freak-offs, knowing that he has dirt on you. He might tell on you, and you just sitting there at home just praying. I don't know who wants him dead more, his victims or his friends. That dude is such a monster, and now every clip of him being weird ever has resurfaced. And it turns out he was being weird the whole time. This dude went on Conan and basically just started giving a blueprint for how to get people at your party to take their clothes off. This dude was on Conan O'Brien. Conan was sitting there being like, this sounds bad. And by the way, this is old, this isn't recent. This is like what looks like early Conan. So it's still a little grainy, even though I was watching it on Twitter. And he's over here and he was skinnier and he had his shades on inside at night and everything. All the stuff we used to let him get away with. And And he was like, oh yeah, you want to make sure that you don't have the air conditioning on, and you got to really have a lot of alcohol for people and a little bit of water, but mostly alcohol. And Conan was like, oh. You could see in Conan's eyes, he was fighting to find a commercial. He was Diddy talking like it's nothing. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Oof. This is one of the wildest things to me about Diddy, right? Is that he made an enemy a long time ago in a man named 50 Cent. 50 Cent hates Diddy so much. Okay. You ever been in a situation where, let's say there's somebody that you work with, right? And we're both just regular people, but y'all work together and you don't know what it is, but you hate them. And it's not even because they're bad at their job. They're not even being particularly annoying on purpose, but you can't stand. Every time they pass by, you want to grit your teeth. You hate them. You don't even know why. You don't know where it came from. You just hate them so much. Maybe they have a little quirk, or maybe they chew real loud. Maybe they chew so loud you can tell what they're eating. Just something real gross. Maybe they swallow weird and you can hear their esophagus and stuff. And y'all take your lunch at the same time, so you sitting in there while they eating, enjoying it, yumming it up. You put your AirPods in, you can't drown it out. You still hear and then every swallow just and you're like, that I hate. Ooh. And then things keep happening because y'all work together. Y'all work at the same job, so you have to interact with them. Maybe they're even in a different department, but you have to interact with them from time to time, and you hate it because they always bring up the weirdest conversations. They got a lot of feelings about tube socks. 6 sentences into a conversation, you're like, who is this dude? What? Y'all get each other for Secret Santa. You're like, I don't even know what they're gonna get me, but I know it's gonna be weird. Can't stand them. And then one day you're at work and you're at your wit's end, because you hate them so much that you've actually been watching them. Waiting for them to do something fireable. You even buddy up to HR just so that whenever you bring your case to HR, they'll be like, hey, yeah, buddy, I got you. I've been worried about him too, Going to work, you can't stand this dude. You hate him so much. Sometimes you just look at the back of his head and you don't even know it's you doing it, but all of a sudden you standing behind him and your fist is right there. You hate this dude, and then one day you're at work, regular day. You at work, he's at work, and out of nowhere, you couldn't have imagined it. Truly out of nowhere, Homeland Security comes. And arrest this dude in his big mink coat or whatever he's wearing. No, I don't think anybody felt, more vindicated that was on the outer edges of Diddy's sphere than 50 Cent. 50 Cent had hated that dude for years. And look, 50 Cent isn't the one. don't mess with 50 Cent because not only is he funny, which is already dangerous, he's so funny that you can tell he a natural bully. You ever been bullied by somebody and then went and tell people what they did and the people you told were like, that is funny though, like that's... I know it's wrong, but that was pretty good. Like, because we're not talking even about bullying in the terms of violence. I'm talking about bullying in like waiting for you to get real excited about something and then tricking you right at... Okay. 50 Cent, early in his career, he couldn't stand a dude named Ja Rule. If you don't know who Ja Rule is, then 50 Cent did his job. 50 Cent hated Ja Rule and hated him in a way that I was like, something deeper is going on here. Because you don't just hate a coworker this bad off of nothing. But he couldn't stand him. He felt like he was fake. There was even a series on BET called Beef. Beef was amazing because Beef would make these mini documentaries about different beefs that were happening in all of hip-hop, throughout history and currently. And at the time, one of the current ones was 50 Cent and Ja Rule. And they had interviewed both of them because what they would do with the show that was brilliant was that they wouldn't just like give you this like faceless voiceover David Attenborough documentary style. Like, they really got interviews from everybody, you know? And so then they interviewed Ja Rule. At one point, he was on the couch with some of his buddies and they asked him about 50 Cent and he was just, who? Who? And they interviewed 50 Cent, and 50 Cent was ready. I don't know where 50 Cent was, but I think he made the smart decision to go ahead and be on a balcony or somewhere outside in case he got loud. And he just went in on Ja Rule like they had been longtime enemies. These are two dudes who I'm pretty sure don't know each other at all. But 50 Cent, at one point, he even said, this dude, I'll never forget this. This is when I fully understood like hate on a petty level in my life for the first time. Because I was a teenager watching Beef on BET. And he was on the balcony, so the balcony railings about here. And 50 Cent just, they did a perfect job with the editing, by the way. They keep cutting back and forth. So every time they give a detail about Ja Rule, 50 Cent said something treacherous, right? It was really great, you know, because then Ja Rule would say something along the lines of like, I'm a star, I don't need to worry about up-and-comers hating on me, blah, blah, blah. And then it would cut to 50 Cent. 50 Cent would be like, yeah, go hang out with the pop stars and Christina Aguilera, whoever you want, if they'll accept you. But dog, you fake, you're fake, you're fake. Like, it was like he was getting angrier and angrier throughout the interview. And I remember the interview because the last time they cut to him, I've never seen anything like it. They cut to this dude one last time, and he just went, psh. $50 Cent hated Ja Rule, and then Ja Rule got into it with Eminem. And Eminem and Dr. Dre had signed 50 Cent, and they were a huge part of his career, especially on the come up, and they collaborated a bunch, and they, were touring together. They would have toured together more if Eminem hadn't decided to stay home and be with family and stuff like that. They tight, right? Making incredible music together, classics. And Ja Rule went at 50 Cent, went at Eminem, because he didn't have a crystal ball. He couldn't see the future. And it went terribly for him. I mean, Eminem just ripped him apart in several songs with references. There were moments, Eminem is too funny, Eminem had a song with him. Haley's in the song, and she's like, is Ja Rule bigger than me? And Eminem said, no, sweetie, y'all are the same size. And Eminem, for his part, was very much above board. I don't really have a problem with you. I was even almost about to squash it. And then you mentioned my daughter's name. My daughter's a kid, man. And so he just went at him, right? And destroyed him thoroughly. But 50 Cent was on a different level. 50 Cent was like, I don't think that this will ever be over. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you apologize to me. Never be over. I can't stand this dude. And Ja Rule goes to prison at one point. I don't remember what for. A part of me thinks 50 Cent had something to do with it, but I like. There's no way for me to tell, but then, if I have my timing right, Ja Rule gets out of prison, and no matter when, I could be wrong about the timing here, but I know that the thing happened. Basically, Ja Rule has a concert, and it's gonna be like a big comeback, like get my career going type of concert, you know? Like a welcome home party, a revival of Ja Rule's career. And the tickets actually sell fast, which I was perplexed by. Because I was like, how? Not even as a hater, just like, I don't know, it's like if you found out everybody in the world was actually into air hockey, you'd be like, I had no idea. You always see the table there, but So the tickets were selling fast, and nobody was probably more excited than Ja Rule. And then the day comes for the concert, and Ja Rule goes out, and it turns out that 50 Cent had bought most of the seats. I do my best to put myself in other people's shoes. And I tried to imagine what it would be like if I came out here and y'all weren't here. If it was just 3 of y'all in the back that I had to yell to. Imagine that, trying to still do the show. Yeah, it's crazy out here. But I said all that to say that 50 Cent and everything that happened is to show you that that's the dude that hated Diddy. Hated him so much, hated him to his core, couldn't stand him. For years he hated him. There was even a moment, okay, I'm sure you saw this, but in case you didn't, it's one of the things that really showed me that he hated him on like a petty level, a professional level, business level, all of it. I'm pretty sure it was Diddy that posted a picture of himself. I don't know where he was. Maybe it was New York, maybe it was not Miami or something, but he was on a bike. And he was just riding his bike, and then 50 Cent commented, he's smiling because there's no seat on that bike. $50 Cent is funny, and he's not the one. If 50 Cent came at me, I'd be like, should I just shoot myself in the leg or what? I don't want any problems. I'm very sorry for whatever I did. Please don't do this. Because I don't know when it really started, but you take it back, all the way back to the early part of 50 Cent's career, and he's popping, he's killing it, right? Get Rich or Die Trying is an all-time hip-hop classic. Curtis, all-time hip-hop classic. This man is pumping out amazing music. He's having incredible tours and everything. And at one point, he goes, this is years later from the time I'm talking about, but we're going to get back there. He goes on the Breakfast Club, and he talks to them about, things he's promoting, and he's just chilling and everything. And Diddy comes up, and he tells this story of being at a wedding. I don't remember whose wedding, but he was at this wedding, and just hanging out and everything, and Diddy's there, and Diddy's chatting him up, being like, man, I like you, you real cool dude and everything. Like, yeah, we should hang out. Let me take you shopping sometime. And then 50 Cent said, what? And Diddy doesn't say anything wrong, so he repeats it. He's like, no, let me take you shopping sometime. And he was like, man, get away from me. Because Diddy is so hated by 50 Cent that apparently a decade ago, 50 Cent just started gathering information on Diddy. As much as he could find. And he started working on a documentary series on how bad Diddy is. A documentary, he did interviews, he hates this man so much. I've heard of gossip. I've never heard of no, okay, we're gonna have the whole crew there by 3, all right? And we'll have a place for you to sit, we'll have some snacks and everything, and we'll just chop it up, we'll just chat. Tell me everything that he did, that bastard, right? A documentary series that he's already potentially sold to Netflix. He hates this. I've never hated. So I not only do my best to not be a hateful person, I really try to let things go and not hate anybody. So I don't even know what it's like to hate someone. So I've never hated someone. So imagine hating someone so much you're willing to edit. You're willing to sit at the computer and be like, no, that's not. Let's see if we can make this B-roll work. This dude hates him so much that there's actually things on the cutting room floor that didn't make it in. Imagine you hate somebody so much you don't even have time for how much you hate them in the thing you made about hating them. And the craziest thing about it is that apparently, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I've been hearing. I looked it up from several outlets, and 50 Cent's documentary series about Sean Combs is titled, Did He Do It? This is the worst enemy to have. You read even some of the stuff that Diddy's accused of, and now some of the text messages have leaked of what people were saying to him and what he was saying to other people at different stages, leading from Cassie coming out about him to present. And yeah, this dude is the devil, But it's also, you're gonna need to be patient with me because I'm gonna try to say it right, and I'm probably gonna fail, but just hear me out. You can tell that these people texting Diddy, the things that we've seen so far, because the trial hadn't even started yet. So the things haven't even come out that are the things that people are worried about. Because trust me when I tell you, Diddy the Black Epstein, they already put that dude on watch. But you can tell that he was a terror to so many people for so long, you know? And it's indicative of how we don't believe and protect each other. You know, it's really important that we do. Someone like Diddy is a prime example. When someone comes to you and they tell you that something happened, not only do you need to hear them out, you need to listen to what they're saying, but you also need to, with them, try to find a place where they feel comfortable to tell you more, you know? And what can be done about what they're telling you? Because sometimes people tell you something, they don't know what else to do, so they tell you and they're like, don't tell anybody, don't do anything, right? And I'm not saying you should disrespect a person's wishes. I'm just saying that on top of that, you really have to talk it out with them and be like, are you sure you don't want me to do anything? You don't think that there's any recourse? You don't think, let me bring you options. Let me try to help you through this thing, right? Because we don't do a good job of believing women, but I'm telling you this, and I know it's not going to sound right when it first hits your ears, but please hear me out. We also need to do a much better job of believing men. Because it is not easy at all. It's one of the scariest things that a person can do to come forward as a survivor of anything that's happened to him. And when a woman comes forward and people do the thing, we already know what they're going to do. There's almost a playbook online of how they're going to treat her, what people are going to say, what's going to happen if it goes to trial, why now, they just want money, all the things. They never fail, right? But when a dude comes forward, you got to remember, this dude was probably willing to take that to the grave. And then something happened where he was like, no, I got to say something, right? You know, there are so many people who would rather die than have people find out what happened to them. So if they tell you, you got to believe them. So many people are letting the fact that Diddy's bi overshadow the fact that he's a monster. That's what's crazy to me, is that it's like, oh man, Diddy was over here trying to kiss the back of this dude's neck. It's like, yeah, you mean assault him? Yeah, I know. You know? I think that's why I'm so thankful for the era that we're in now of people being able to find things on the internet, just at large. I know the internet's a big place. I know there's a lot of artists, a lot of creatives and everything, but the fact that it's now more than ever in the hands of the people, as far as creativity goes and as far as like putting your work out there goes, it's a beautiful thing, because one of the reasons that people like Diddy were able to prevail for so long is because they had something. They had something that they could hold over people. They had power, they had money, they had your access to getting your work out there. And so people, you know, let people like Diddy manipulate and put them in situations they would never be in otherwise, right? But he had the power of a label. One of the best things that Cassie's lawyers did with that lawsuit was implicate all the labels. They didn't just sue him as like Sean Combs. They were like, no, I'm suing everybody. I'm suing the whole thing, because the whole thing's connected, because you use the thing to manipulate people. You don't just walk into a room and be like, I'm Sean Combs, everyone get naked. That's not what's happening. You use the label, you use the fact that you can shelve people, you use the fact that maybe their projects will never come out, you use the fact that they're waiting on the money that they need to fund their project. You use all of these things and you say things without saying them, and before you know it, you have people in a horrible situation, you know? And one of the main things that I can't stop thinking about is how Diddy was able to get away with being Diddy for so long. You know, because there's so many times, there's so many little points in time where so many people's lives would have been different if Diddy had just gone to jail when he was supposed to go to jail, the other times he was supposed to go to jail. Like if you think back, way back, Diddy used to date J-Lo. And when Diddy and J-Lo were dating, they were like a hot couple, you know? And they were always in the tabloids and stuff, and everybody was following them around. I remember, I can't remember if it was the VMAs or the BET Awards, but she went to some award show with a dress that had everybody like, God, that's J-Lo, that's crazy. Oh, and she became this it girl and everything, and she was dating Diddy at the time, and they went to a nightclub together. And when they went to this nightclub, you know, I don't really know the circumstance of the fight starting, but somebody got in a fight with Diddy, right? And it's hard to tell when you in a fight at a nightclub. I've been to nightclubs before. I know it don't seem like it, but I've been to nightclubs before, and I've almost had some altercations at nightclubs, not even because I meant to. I was just in there, just walking, having a good time, and then maybe somebody's yelling at you, maybe they're trying to get your attention, maybe they're trying to fight you. It's hard to tell all that stuff from regular dancing at a nightclub. You know? Because when you see people dance at a nightclub, depending on who it is, they look like they're in their own fight. They look like they're in a battle with the rhythm. They look like they're taking swings at the melody. So it's hard to know that they want to fight you. You know? And then people yell at a nightclub, but yelling is how you talk. It's so loud in here. You know? Like I was in a nightclub one time, I was walking and I must have like stepped on this guy's shoe or something. I didn't mean to. And he was like, hey, like yelling at me, trying to get my attention. And I just turned around and I was like, hi. And that's... that didn't do me any favors, right? Because I really didn't hear him, but leaning over and being like, hi, that's just offering up my face for the punching. And so Diddy got into some altercation with some dude, and no one knows everything that was said, but it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of like, well, I make money too and everything. And then apparently he grabbed some money and he threw it in Diddy's face, right? But this is the way I'd like to imagine it, because apparently it flew up in the air, and I think the only way that could happen is if he had the money, you know, balled up in that roll of money, right? And that roll of money that you just keep together with a thin rubber band, right? So that way when it hits something, the whole thing explodes. And he's like, I make money too, and he threw it and it hit Diddy on the head and just pow. Then it started to rain, right? And so then, you know, gets in this altercation, and then Diddy allegedly pulls a gun out, right? Starts firing off at this dude, okay? And a whole like gunfight ensued and everything. And that was one of the wildest nights because, you know, Diddy and J-Lo were not quite like, I wouldn't say like clean cut because they were still like partying, hip hop, everything, but they were this it couple. And now this horrible thing had happened and they were at the center of it, right? And there was even a whole trial, and at the trial, J-Lo testified that she only saw Shine pull out a gun. Now, Shine, if you don't remember, was a rapper who was popping at the time. And he went to jail by himself for 10 years. Diddy didn't go to jail. And there was even a woman named Natanya Rubin. And Natanya Rubin has said many times, she never stopped saying it, that she saw Diddy pull his gun. And she knows that Diddy pulled his gun because Diddy shot her in the face. And she survived and everything, but she didn't get any media attention or anything. And then, you know, publications just ran with the fact that J-Lo said Shine did it, and that was enough. Shine was guilty. He was off to jail. But even to this day, Natanya Rubin is like, you need to reopen the case. I'm right here. You know? And she had her surgery and everything. And I mean, to a certain degree, I watched her. She did an interview recently, and you can't really tell, but she says she lives with that pain because there are fragments that they couldn't get out, right? And she's like, he needs to reopen the case. I want justice, you know? And the journalist asked her, would you be willing to give one of the fragments and like, you know, do the forensic test and everything, because they didn't do one apparently. And she said, yeah, of course. I got 9 fragments. I can spare one. The thing that did Diddy in, you know, really, truly, from his own nature, from his own core, were money, power, and fame, right? And money, power, and fame is a dangerous combination. Messes up a lot of people. Money, because, guys, money. This is what trajectory of money does in the mind. When you have no money and you just imagine having some money, that's even enough money. When you have no money and you're like, man, it'd be nice to eat. That's the money for the meal in front of you is all you need in your mind. You know, it's why people who are desperate, truly desperate, walk up to you and they don't ask for everything that they need. They ask for what they need to get by. They ask for change. They ask for the next thing that they need, because money changes perspective. As the more of it that you get, the more you become not necessarily an insane person, but your ideas, your wants and needs, they start to shift, and they usually, at a certain amount of money, leave Earth. Why do you think all the billionaires are trying to go to space? They're like, I did it all. I did everything here. What's up there? Can I own that? That'd be nice. Money messes with your mind. And then sometimes you think, man, if I had enough money for this thing, oh, I'd be so good. I'd be so benevolent. And maybe you would, but maybe you wouldn't. Maybe having that money and getting attached to it would attach you to it so tight that now I don't really want to have less than. I don't know anyone working in America that's willing to get paid less. You know, we all have, and some of it's just human nature. We all have a little upward mobility, thinking about what's next, thinking about how we can build up. That, I'm not saying that's wrong at all. I'm saying at a certain amount of money, you just lose your mind. You know? And then power. Money and power, they get people to do some of the same things. Money, I'll give you an example. I was in Vietnam a little while ago, right? And the Vietnamese dong, which is their currency, right? One of our dollars is about, at least at the going rate right now, currency exchange-wise, is about 24,200 dong. So if you go there with your yearly salary, you are a billionaire in dong. And we look at our billionaires a certain type of way. We look at them as like, why is this piece of shit hoarding all this wealth? Is he out of his mind? Does he not know how many people he could help? This is crazy. It's billions and billions of dollars. And then you talk to a billionaire and they're like, oh yeah, well, I had this idea of how we could like get to space and stuff, so I'll just do that. It's like, we're dying. Why would you? No one cares about space. Why are you hoarding all of it? And then you hear, even in like a billionaire's, I listen to the audiobook because I don't like to read about, I want to know a billionaire's life, but to read it and learn it all slow feels upsetting. I'm just like, let me just let someone tell me so I can feel like I'm talking to a friend, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit smoother of a process. But you talk about, you know, like a billionaire, and the way that they think about us is insane. There are even billionaires that they've said it. Different billionaires are different levels of like loose-lipped. And there are billionaires that have properly said to a camera that they knew was recording, if people knew how good my life was, they would bring back the guillotine. That's what he said. And then you hear other billionaires tell it, and they're like, well, you know, if people are too dumb or too lazy or too scared to take the chances to make money, that's on them. The way that they think about us is insane. But then you see an American, a Brit, maybe somebody from Australia, go to Vietnam and be a billionaire, and it is harrowing how many people turn into our billionaires there. I watched it. I was in a market, right? And there was this British lady that was trying to haggle with this woman who had made this like homemade, like knitted little bag, right? And she was charging like, I don't know, maybe like 5,000 dong for it. Now remember, I told you $1 was 24,000 dong. And this British lady is actually like haggling with her. Like being like, what about 4,000? She's like, no, it's 5. It's like, what about 475? No, 5. And she doesn't know much English, and the British lady's getting annoyed with her, and I'm getting furious because I'm like, you realize the pound is doing better than the dollar, so you're just haggling like, what if I gave you nothing? Would nothing be good? What about nothing? You would love nothing, though. Like, if I gave you nothing, that'd make me feel better as I left. And this person is a billionaire, at least right now. You can tell that they're broke in Britain, though. Like, only a broke person would go somewhere else and then try to be rich really hard. Like, that's... I don't know why you front. You know you could only afford the flight. I don't know why you acting like this right now. Acting like these people are trying to cheat you out of something. You know you already have a leg up. It's crazy. But it is how billionaires think sometimes. Because then when we work at a corporation that's $1 billion, maybe even you work at Apple, Amazon, you work at one of the truly big ones that's about to hit the trillions of dollars, right? And then you want a raise, and you want a substantial raise, and it's nothing for them because they have billions of dollars, and they're still like, why should we give you anything? It's the same mentality, right? And so Diddy had money, and he had the type of money that makes people do things, bend to your will and everything. And so he bent it, and he had power. And this is the thing about power. I'm someone who wants very little power. Because I don't know, I can think about what I might do, but I don't know what I would do with power. That's terrifying. Don't give me power. If I had the power to make Ted Cruz punch himself in the balls... whether it was like X-Men mind control or if I just had enough money that he would do it. Like, if I could make Ted Cruz punch himself in the balls non-stop, his balls would never rest. I would go overboard with my power. And Diddy had lots of power. He had power, he had influence, and used all of it to garner more and to truly hurt people. He didn't care who he hurt. You can see it when you read the indictment. And he did it for long as well, you know? And then fame is the last thing. Fame, you can't actually control, especially now. There are people that want to be very famous, and they might get there. And then there are people who don't mean to be famous at all. But then someone's just recording, and then a TikTok is made. Like... There are people who become famous overnight and all they did was trip. That's too random. Fame is the one that gets away from you. Money, you can decide how much money you want to keep, how much money you want to make, especially if you have the means to just be making boatloads of money. You can take a step back and be like, a lot of money is enough money. I don't need all the money. Power you wield, and power you can also give away. You can tell someone, I want to bring you in. I want to make you powerful as well, right? Fame, not really. There are plenty of people that the industry has tried to make famous, and we were like, nah. But people with power, people with money, they can promise fame, even if they can't deliver. And because they have so much money and so much power, it looks like they can give you fame. And so that's another way that Diddy manipulated and abused people, was through his fame and the promise of fame that was to come to them, right? And money, power, and fame is actually what screwed Diddy, not just his own. The fact that he finally met up with the U.S. government. No government is more powerful with more money or more famous. And when you put the two up against each other, his is, money and power and fame of the U.S. government, the money that they have. You think you have money, they can freeze your money. You can show up to court and they'll be like, oh, you broke, Oh, I'm sorry, you thought you had money? Oh, I feel terrible for you. It must suck to be broke. They can freeze your accounts. Power? You want to talk about federal power? Look at the conviction rate of federal prosecutors. It's in the 90s for a reason. People either plead out or they're like, no, I'm gonna be vindicated in court. And the US government's like, I bet you won't. Fame? What government is more famous, especially as far as their judicial system? What government is more famous than the US government? You know? They looking at Diddy right now like, oh, you blew up Kid Cudi's car, that's cute. We killed MLK. And Malcolm X. No, you're done, bro. It's over. Because I think about how does a person become that evil? You know what I mean? And a lot of it is ego. Ego's a dangerous thing. Ego is like a dish that only feeds you false fruit, right? Like the more that you eat off of your own ego, the more you starve your spirit. Like it's the way to sickness, you know? Like ego is this like still small voice, right? Telling you the most important thing is I. Like ego stands in like the middle of pride right there. But then when things happen, when consequence comes, ego never shows up. Ego is like a friend. Ego's like a friend that's like, hey, come on, the door's unlocked. Let's get in this house. No, let's just see what's inside. There might be some good stuff in there. It's like, but it's not my house. Come on. Then ego gets you to go in there. And then you're like, there's some shiny stuff. And then you start grabbing stuff. And then before you know it, you see blue and red lights. And you're like, come on, we got to get out. And ego's gone already. Like, I think about how it got here, you know, and how many people Diddy hurt and why he was allowed to get away with it for so long. And I can't help but think that a lot of what he was allowed to get away with is because it happened to black women. You know what I mean? When people say protect black women, they don't mean that black women can't protect themselves. We mean that when you look at the stats and you look at who the powerful people hurt because they know that they can do it, it's the same people. I guess what I'm trying to say is I hope Diddy gets life. And I hope he lives forever.
Start clapping right now. Start clapping for Josh Johnson, y'all. Let him hear it.
I've been genuinely obsessed since I saw it from the moment that it happened. You know, it was around Thanksgiving, and what a thing to be thankful for. Wow. I can't stop reading Drake's filing. Drake's court filing. Suing UMG. I mean, Drake suing UMG, Spotify, I think iHeartRadio, yeah. Like, he's suing everybody but Kendrick. Like, right. In case you don't know, because I don't expect everybody to just know everything I'm talking about all the time. In case you don't know, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper. He's a phenomenal rapper. You know, some are saying the best to ever do it, right? There are a lot of people that, except Drake, yeah. Kendrick Lamar is absolutely killing it right now, and he was in a beef with Drake. Now, if you don't know, Drake was a rapper. He was a rapper until Kendrick Lamar rapped while he was rapping, and then they did it at each other, and it did not go well for Drake. Now Drake is suing, and it's such a thing to take apart because it's genuinely complicated, right? Like not just the suit, but the reasoning for the suit, and like who would actually be in like a bad position, you know? A lot of this, weirdly enough, if you go all the way back, starts with Kanye, now known as Ye, right? Now, during his Life of Pablo tour, Ye went on this rant. Now, Ye became known for rants. That was like a thing as far back as the Yeezus tour. Probably started, I actually think it started when he was touring 808 and Heartbreak, where just mid-concert, instead of an intermission, he would go on a wild rant, right? Like, and sometimes the rants would have some genuine little nuggets in them of like, oh, that's an inspiring thing that he said. I'm gonna hold on to that. And then sometimes it would be full of things where you were like, does he know? But he's all right. And in one of these rants that became like part of going to the concert, what's Kanye going to talk about? What's he going to go off on and everything? During Life of Pablo, Ye does this thing where he's like, radio lied to you, right? Now, Ye is probably one of the most imperfect messengers of our time. Like it's sometimes, hear me out, once in a while, sometimes he has something to say that has genuine value in the industry. There are things that he says that are inspiring to anyone who takes inspiration from it, right? And there are some times where he's like so unclear, but he's like about to get there, right? And this was one of those moments because what he was basically saying was that Drake and some of these artists, they were being artificially pumped up. They were being force-fed to us. We could not get away from them. And he took issue with it because he was like, look, you're being lied to. Something is being sold to you that is not genuine. Something is being sold to you that is completely artificial. It's a machine built by an industry to take your money. The thing that you're being sold has no soul to it. There's no artistry to it. It's just like a complex compound to take as much money from you as possible, maybe to give you the feeling of something genuine, but it's not there, I promise you. It's all been talked about behind closed doors. They've all come up with a plan to take as much of your money as possible, to take as much of your attention as possible, and to have you feeling like you're connected to some of the most hollow people who have ever lived, right? But instead of saying that, he goes, radio lied to you. So understandably, in the moment, people didn't quite understand what he was trying to say. You know? And then there's another interview more recently during the beef when it started where, you know, Ye basically says he was, and it's something that a lot of Drake stans brought up, where he was like, a lot of us involved were just so excited about the destruction of Drake, you know? And they were excited because depending on who you talk to, Drake been a menace for a minute. Like Drake has been sleeping with people's very significant others. You know, he's been doing like shady stuff. There's people who've worked on projects with Drake, and then he went ahead and even though he worked on the project with them and was happy to collab and everything, releases a project that's kind of like theirs right before, just to. There's things he's being accused of that are like none of it is illegal, but a lot of it is terrible, right? And so, you know, Ye had his own issue with him, Drake, Kardashians, all that stuff. And so he was like, what people don't understand about Drake is that he has a rich baby daddy named Lucian. And Lucian was the top of UMG. And so now at the top of UMG, you have someone pushing Drake nonstop. And if you heard Scorpion, I don't know how you missed it, but it was the most pushed album maybe of all time. Basically, if you got on Spotify, there were people that sued Spotify because they were like, everywhere I go is Drake. I can't click away from Drake. He's coming up on playlists that have nothing to do with him just to push Drake. You will literally type in, look, I'm looking for like a little gym bob to get like some exercise too, but I really want it to be mellow, like a little Regina Spektor or something like that, but a little bit more tempo than like a Regina Spektor. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake and braids? Like, you know, you'd be like, I want some hard rock, like something classic, something that is maybe like hair metal, you know, like some of that glam punk to it and everything. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake making a mean face? And you know, he files these lawsuits, and the internet comes for him. They come for him in a way that I thought the beef was bad, but the way that the internet came for this man when he sued, they were calling him Aubrey Graham Cracker. They were quoting lyrics from him. It was I don't know, it was kind of hard to watch. Like I don't even like Drake, and I was like, man, this is a lot. This is, you know, but he sues, and I think a lot of people don't understand what the defamation suit is about. Very quickly, basically, he sues first UMG for what he's saying is botting Kendrick, making it so that Kendrick's song Not Like Us is more successful than it actually should have been, right? Making it more popular through bots and through like manipulation because they made it cheaper for it to get streams, which means more people would play it and stuff like that. They lifted some of the copyright so more people would do reviews of it and stuff. And then he sues for defamation, right? And the defamation is still, once again, this is a petition. This isn't like a full-on lawsuit for damages, but it's basically saying that UMG shouldn't have let Kendrick release Not Like Us because of what it said in there about Drake and them knowing that it was false, right? And this is my thing about that. It's weird that he that he sued for Not Like Us but not Meet the Grams, which was so much worse. If you don't know, there's a song called Meet the Grams where like Kendrick talked to his whole family, talked to his son. It was everyone. That's defamation. I felt like he was defamed, as in less famous right then. Like this, it's kind of wild, you know? But here's the thing. This is why some people are on Drake's side. And I'm not just talking about Drake's stance, right? What he is alleging is that basically UMG, who he's been in this contract with, he got a $400 million contract from them in the earlier part of the 2020s, right? And he made the money back so fast, they start renegotiating again. And if you make $400 million back quickly, they probably gonna need to pay you $600, maybe $800, who knows? And that $400 million contract was the biggest contract in music history, right? And so now he's taking these people to task in a way and at a time that is scary for the music industry. You know, music industry is losing market share day by day. I'm a firm believer that no matter what music you like, I don't care what it is, I don't care what genre, you personally, you have not met your favorite artist yet. You haven't met your favorite artist at all. You have to keep listening. You have to keep looking. Your favorite artist is out there, and they're trying to get to you, but there's a machine in the way, right? And so the same machine that built Drake up is the machine that is genuinely in the way of artists who are trying to get to you to be your favorite. Because y'all already have this connection. You just haven't heard their music yet, but it's coming. right? You just have to keep looking. And it's hard to look right now because of basically what Drake is alleging, that UMG, some of these big ones, they use payola, they use all these things to make sure that their artists are the only artists that you hear, so that your favorite is the best of what's been presented to you, right? And it's a tough thing because to call UMG out for it, for Kendrick, without acknowledging that it
happened to you.
like you know because you were. Yeah, I mean, like that's a tough one. That's yeah, I mean, that would be like somebody at Goldman Sachs being like, they stealing all your money. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, I believe you, but weren't you an executive? Yeah, but I'm suing because they stole from me too. They have no scruples at all. They'll steal from anybody. This is unacceptable. You know? And so what Drake is basically alleging is that through the beef they had with Kendrick, UMG actually picked Kendrick and they built him up as much as possible to tear Drake down so that when he came back to the table and he was going to ask for more than his $400 million, they could look him in his eye and say, your stock has gone down. You're not what you used to be. You can't sell the same tickets. You don't get the same streams. How about we give you $350? And it's a lot. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But it's something similar. I see a lot of what is happening with Drake right now, at least in regards with UMG. I'm talking specifically on this part of the suit, not the defamation, not anything. I'm talking about the way that he's in a negotiation with UMG while something else is going on in his life, and it's hindering that negotiation, right? It reminds me of something that happened with Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson got so powerful with Sony that he both found out and then accused publicly his lawyers and Sony of working together because he was becoming too powerful. He was owning too much. He was owning too much music. This man had the rights to the Beatles. Like, that's crazy. And so he said, Sony is trying to hurt me because they're not promoting my album in an era that didn't have streaming in that way. They botched my album just to try to get things from me that are mine, And it's similar to Drake in a way because both of them were the biggest artists at the time, biggest artists in the world, right? And they're both like, just hear me out. They were both. Listen. They're both black men that everyone called white, right? And I think that some of that, a part of that, is definitely present in people's feelings on the suit, right? Because there are some people that obviously think it's funny. I kind of think it's funny, you know what I mean? But then there are people who I've heard from and who I genuinely agree with that you can't get away from the fact. You cannot get away from the fact that these two individuals, even though their suits are not the same, even though their situations are not the same, these are two individuals who built themselves up to be the biggest in the world. And when it came time for a company to pay them, maybe they did whatever they had to do to not have to do that. Now, I don't believe, personally, the botting thing, because people genuinely were dancing to Not Like Us. People were genuinely losing their minds to Not Like Us. Like, I guess I believe the bot angle that Drake has if he thinks all black people were bots. Like, that's kind of what it would take. You know bots. You know how bots be. And look, when it comes to the bot thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've done a version of what Drake is doing in my head, just personally, because bots are all around us, and they're actually one of the reasons we fight so much. You think that everyone disagrees with you online. I'm not saying everyone agrees, but not everyone has the vitriol waiting for you, that it feels like it. We found that a lot of some of the nastiest things that get said online are bots from other countries just to stir people up, And the bot has no investment in whether or not you actually get outraged, but it's just rage bait that's literally made to whether it's to keep you on an app or to distract you. bots are everywhere, right? And I sometimes take that to my emotional advantage. You know? Like if I get into an argument with somebody online and they make a good point, I'm like, that's a damn bot right there. That's... Like I used to be on the apps back in the day, and you know I would sometimes meet somebody, chat with them a while, then go on a date and everything. Maybe the date wouldn't work out, but I didn't get their number, and so I messaged them again on the app, and they don't respond. Like they ghost me, and I'm like, that damn bot's something else. That's... These bots are out here wilding, right? Like, you know? I remember I got to argue with my mom, and she was making some really good points, and she was really, like, letting me know that she was disappointed in my actions and everything, and really told me why. I broke it down, how she didn't raise me to act the way I had been acted and stuff like that. And I went ahead and typed in the text, because I saw the text bubble bubbling and everything, and I knew more was coming. And I was like, look, I'm gonna have to cut this bot off. Like this. Don't have time for bots. It's a good tactic to take. Anything in your life not going the way you want, call it a bot. And I read and I talked to people as much as I could when the beef was going down. And I talked to Kendrick stans, I talked to Drake stans, I talked to people who did not listen to hip hop at all, who really didn't have a stake in the race at all. And there were people that were saying like, oh man, the only reason Kendrick stopped dropping diss tracks is because he was scared Drake was gonna hurt himself. Then I talked to people that were like, no, Drake dropped last, so the ball is in Kendrick's court, right? I heard delusional takes, I heard erratic takes, I heard takes that were just sort of blah, whatever, it's two grown men rhyming at each other, I don't care. Like, I heard it all. What I did not hear from Drake stans or hip-hop fans at all, the entire beef was, he should sue. That smells like a lawsuit. Never came out of anybody's mouth, right? And so understandably, there are people that are upset with Drake for suing, because it's like, wow, if you sue and then you win, what does that do to battle rap? What does that do to hip-hop? Hip-hop literally has artists talking about other artists being like, I'm going to sleep with your baby mama. Will they still do that if that person can sue for damages? There's something that is that's like linked, that can't be broken about hip hop and a sort of distance from power, right? Like if you're in the streets, or if you are street, you're not supposed to be in court unless they catch you. You're not supposed to. You see what I mean? It just feels a lot to me, everything that's happening right now between Drake, Kendrick, and UMG feels a lot like what happened between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in boxing, right? Because you look at Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two heavyweights. In case you've never watched boxing, I'll make it very simple for you. Two heavyweights in the world that were number one and number two, right? And we rarely get that in a lifetime, that the best in the world is fighting the second best in the world. And Tyson Fury is a world-class boxer, and Deontay Wilder hits really hard, okay? He's not quite as good of a boxer as Tyson, but he hits so hard, you think that he must knock the soul out of people, right? And so, sure enough, they fight. And in the first fight, Deontay Wilder knocks down Tyson Fury in like such devastating fashion that when he hit the ground, personally, so he got knocked out for a second with his eyes open, and I thought he was dead. I was sure I had seen something terrible. Like I was sitting there just looking around, even though I knew I was the only one in the room. And Tyson Fury had been through a lot. He had battled his way back from addiction, from some serious mental health issues. He talked about wanting to take his life and everything. And this man gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder in one of the later rounds. Even though he had been putting in good work the entire fight, this punch came out of nowhere and it knocks him down. And then out of nowhere, he blinks. And a part of me was like, he might still be dead. That's a reflex. I've heard of dead people blinking. That doesn't... And then he blinks again, and then he gets up, and he gets up all at once, just sort of rolls himself up and stands up, and the world is shocked. It's one of the biggest moments that year in sports. How did this dude get up? That feels impossible, right? This man sits up, stands up, and even Deontay Wilder is like, I thought you were dead. Deontay, like, he wasn't on camera in this moment from this angle, but he was probably looking at his fist like, I thought I killed him. That's okay. And they finished the fight, and the fight is a draw, and a lot of people thought that Tyson won the fight. And a lot of people said that it was a draw because boxing is rigged and it's corrupt and everything like that. I'm willing to believe both those things, but basically they did have to fight again because it was a draw. So neither one of them had lost their O yet, right? Second fight, Deontay Wilder shows up ready. And in his mind, he's like, I almost killed this dude the first time. So I'm gonna knock him out this time. It's gonna be simple. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna get right to it, right? I actually gave him a little too much respect. I backed up a little bit. Go in, right? And Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder and beats him pretty bad. And I kind of thought he might beat him because I saw the documentary and the lead up, and there were people talking about like, oh, you know, Deontay's been knocking out his training partners when they're just holding the pads and stuff. And I'm like, that sound like he doesn't have aim. That's... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a boxer, but if somebody holding the pad here and you knock that man out, you missed. So, you know, Deontay Wilder gets beat in that second fight. They throw in the towel and everything. And Deontay cannot accept that he lost the fight. He actually cannot accept it. He literally says, like, no, he must have cheated then. Because I almost killed this dude. This dude must have cheated. And he takes him on this long campaign. They try to investigate him, everything. They even pull out a clause where they have to do a third fight, even though Tyson wants to go and fight someone else now, and he goes on a whole campaign where he's like, no, this guy cheated. He must have cheated if he beat me because I had him. This dude, we thought he was dead. I had this dude, and then he just beats me like that. There had to have been something. Maybe he had brass knuckles in his glove. There were all of these theories going around, even in the boxing world and stuff. And that's what happened to Drake. Drake didn't believe Kendrick could beat him. He was like, no, too many people on my side. I'm too popular. I'm too big. I'm genuinely too big to fail. He thought, even though he was going into contract renegotiations with UMG, let me go ahead and have the sparring session with Kendrick. Number one, number two, going at it. It's going to get a ton of buzz. And then after I beat this dude, I'll be able to come to the table and be like, pay me my $800 million. Because I just took out supposedly the best rapper, right? And then it didn't happen that way. And so now he's saying, you must have cheated. There's no way, you know? And this is a genuine mistake. Because now, if this actually follows all the way through and goes from a petition into a lawsuit, Not Like Us is going to go into public court records. A stenographer is going to have to type out the lyrics to Not Like Us. I don't think he thought it through. Do you know what I mean? Because, and this, look, maybe this is me being a hater. This is me making some assumptions. I'm just throwing it out there. This is what I think. I think genuinely that Drake's lawyer is definitely white. And so now I'm worried for Drake's lawyer that he's going to be in a predicament where he has to defend his client from and then read out the lyrics to not like now look, rap lyrics in court is nothing new. Rap lyrics get used to, send rappers to jail. It gets used against them. In all these different ways. It's nothing new. But whenever you're in court and you got to read the lyrics, usually court likes to still keep things proper. So they'll probably do some replacements. You know what I mean? Like, I think when Drake's lawyer gets to the end where he's going to have to be creative. Going to have a different word in there. Probably something like, gentlemen. He's going to be standing there having to read the lyrics to make his point. He's going to be standing in front of maybe a jury. Who knows, right? He's standing there. Okay. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. Party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy. Certified. Your Honor. Wop, 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 wop. Dot, F them up. Wop, 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 wop. I'm gonna do my stuff. Why you trolling like a female dog? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord. And that's a lot of O's. And it's probably I'll try. A. I'm sorry, I'll do one quick correction here. They're missing apostrophe R-E here. They're not like us. They're not like us. They're not, actually, I'll just take away the contract. They are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us. No. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, And I'm torn because there's things in this suit that if it goes through, if they can prove that UMG and even some of the other big labels are still using payola, maybe they have to do such a big payout that they make it not worth it to do it again. That's a genuine hope that I have. Or maybe the government can look at these labels, look how much power they have, and it's unlikely, but break them up a bit. Right? They're already losing market share with us, the people. They already don't have the power that they used to have, right? No matter how much they push, no matter how much they repeat, sometimes it just doesn't work. Because we know they're doing it, by the way. We already know they're doing it because we know when we look at charts and they're like, this is the top artist. And we're like, who? I've never heard of this person at all. Do you, I guess. So if the structure came tumbling down, that would help the little guy, the new artist. The artist has been trying this whole time to break through. Reminds me of the story of Samson, right? Make it very short. Samson was very strong, loses his strength, and then becomes enslaved by the Philistines. And then while he's between two pillars, he begs God, give me my strength back. Give me my strength back so I can take revenge on the Philistines. And God gives him his strength back just for that little bit of time, just for that time that it took to push the pillars, crack them, break it down, and bring it down on him and the Philistines. And I think that's what could be happening here. You know, because I don't know how Drake moves on from this at all, whether he wins or he loses. But I know that he might be able to bring the structure down with him, on him, right? And there is a genuine part of me that's split because I don't think that the bots thing happened in that way. I'm sure that generally it happens with every big artist. I will say that. I think no matter who you are, there's probably bots pushing, pulling, whatever. I don't think it's enough to make someone number one, but I do think that it must just happen, right? But the part that I can't get over is that, like, as much as I don't like Drake, that's a black man trying to get paid what he's worth. You know, he made that money back for them. They should pay him. They do owe him. And I don't think they used Kendrick. I think Kendrick is not only an incredible artist, but he was at the right place at the right time. I think if this beef had happened in any other time, maybe it wouldn't have gone the way that it went. I think Kendrick is smart with his timing. He's obviously brilliant with his music. And I think that he knew this is it, right? You speak on me, I speak on you. But even Kendrick said in Euphoria, still love when you see success, right? His rival, this person he can't stand. So even Kendrick, to some degree, probably thinks, I hate you. Don't get me wrong. If you fail right now, that'd be hilarious. Like, I hate you. But also, you made them that money. You know? Because there's no real proof, which I think actually hurts Drake's case. There's no real proof that he is not going to make a comeback because he's still one of the number one trending artists without releasing an album this year, even as he lost all that stock. And the stock he can get back quickly. I'll tell you how. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but all he has to do is be like, y'all, look, y'all, could be an Instagram story. He loves that. Instagram story where he comes to us, the people, and he just says, look, y'all, all right, maybe this isn't the way. He got me. All right, I got God. But you know what? I got something for you, my fans. I have new music coming, and I hope you love it. That's it. Let it go. You know what I mean? You got God. This stuff is way weirder. You're clearly spinning out. If anything, it makes me more afraid of Kendrick because you gotta remember first lines of Euphoria. Superpowers getting neutralized. Famous actor, once knew, was looking paranoid. Now he's spiraling. Who lets you sue as a rapper? You gotta be spiraling to do it. That's like being a bona fide gangster and getting shot and then being like, police! You know? I don't know. I think that, you know, Kendrick caused a full release of the culture, of the movement. People are excited, revitalizing hip hop. There's a chance that with this suit, if he wins, if he follows it all the way through and he wins, that Drake could loose the people from the industry in a small way. And there's a chance that you could get to meet your favorite artist. You know? I guess I'll just end it most appropriately with a line from J. Cole. I love to see a black man get paid. I don't know if y'all saw what's been going on in the House of Representatives, but they had it out. Ooh. That was better than Real Housewives. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty good. Okay, in case you didn't see what happened, basically they were having a committee hearing, and I don't really know how they work. They use certain rules of order where they're like point of order, you know, and there's like this moderator that doesn't do his job and stuff. And basically, Representative, I think her name was Jasmine Crockett, said to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's like, do you know what we're talking about right now? Do you know what we're here for? And then Marjorie Taylor Greene said, I do know what we're here for. Do you know what we're here for? Because those fake eyelashes might be messing up your reading. And immediately, everyone had a reaction, and AOC was the one to be like, hey, can we strike this from the record? You can't do this. Like, this is crazy. You're not supposed to engage in personal attacks on appearance or personality during a hearing. Like, you have to have some form of order, right? And then the person that runs the committee that doesn't do his job was just sort of ignoring her. So then, you know, they let it go. But before that, you know, Marjorie Taylor turns to AOC and she's like, did I hurt your feelings or something? And then AOC said, girl, no. Baby girl, no. In case you aren't familiar, all right, a girl followed by a baby girl is equivalent to showing a Glock. I've never had a woman tell another woman in front of me, girl, baby girl, without something happening next. That's because it's such gentle language. Because it's two women talking to each other. So girl implies like my girl, hey girl, you know what I mean? Girl, and then baby girl. Baby girl is smaller than girl. Baby girl comes from an even gentler place, but is somehow much more violent. Baby girl. I'll put it this way. Girl is hair. Girl is, you know, snatching up someone by their hair. Baby girl is choke. Baby girl is hands around the throat. One hand is baby, the other is girl. Baby girl. Whew. And then later, Representative Jasmine just asked the leader, the one who doesn't do his job. She was like, hey, I just want to check, just so I know the rules. I want to check if I were to say something about somebody's beach, blonde, bad built, botched body. And to be fair, look, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what she said, because some people are like bad beach blonde, bad built butch body, or beach blonde, bad built botched body. Either way, it's a bop. Either way. It's and that was like kind of off the dome. That was incredible. That was one of those things where I was reading it. I've never read like a news magazine before and been like, beach blonde, bad built butch body. Man, get Metro Boomin on that one. That's crazy. So I don't know exactly what she said, but she was like, if I were to mention somebody's beach blonde, bad built, botched body, would that be engaging in personality attacks? And then a bunch of people on the Republican side made the same noise as the Democratic side before. And then they were like, this is not the time, blah, blah. And then Jasmine was like, no. Because y'all love to dish it out, but you can't take it. And then the article ended. And I was like, that's the problem with journalism today. That's what. Now I gotta go watch C-SPAN to see how it ended. I feel like one of the main things that I miss from being a kid is ooh. Do y'all remember ooh? Do y'all remember like ooh? What an incredible experience. Ooh is beautiful. You know what's so beautiful about it? It's one of those like communal experiences. No one teaches you how to do ooh when you're a kid. You know what I mean? No one sits you down and, and sometimes you're gonna want to clap, and sometimes you're gonna be like, ooh. Like, no, your parents never give you a talk like that. You just are a kid, and then maybe you're talking in class, everybody's talking in class, and then the teacher gets frustrated, turns around, points out one kid and goes, Mr. Perkins, and then all the kids go, ooh. It's beautiful. It's almost like a religious experience that you're having outside of church, you know what I mean? Everybody knew to do it at the same time. Like starting a good slow clap. When a real slow clap happens, you're like, wow, we really did it, y'all. Ooh is beautiful. And then as you get older, ooh starts to go away a little bit. You know, because we all have different experiences. When you're a kid, most kids have the same general big fears, right? Getting called out in the middle of class, getting embarrassed, something happening, somebody. But as you get older, everything starts to splinter off. Everything goes in different directions, and so one person's ooh is another person's nothing, right? It's very hard as an adult to have an ooh experience, so I treasure them now when I have them. It's beautiful. Like I was walking down the street one day, and I was passing this bar, and there was a woman yelling at her boyfriend to the point that a crowd had gathered. Like really felt like a street performance, the way that she was taking him to task. And she was like, I had 1 day off, JR. I had 1 day off and you ruined it. And he's like, I'm sorry. No, sorry's not enough. This has happened so many times. I have 1 day off, JR, and you ruined it. And then out of nowhere, she just swung and slapped him, right? Slapped him from everybody, and everybody was like, oh. And just like that, I was like, wow, I'm back in it. This is incredible. I went to a friend's wedding a while back, and the thing that was amazing to me about this wedding is just how personal it was, right? So it was a smaller wedding, so it wasn't like a huge room or anything, and the groom got his best friend to officiate the wedding, right? And I think that's kind of cool. You know, some people want someone, like if they have it at a church, they want like their pastor to do it, but just someone that makes it special, right? And then the couple, they wrote their own vows, which I also thought was pretty cool because it was very specific stuff to them that was like cute and was funny and stuff like that. And you can tell that the friend officiating was nervous because he was holding the mic, but it was like shaking in his hand, everything. It was all very, very sweet, right? And then it got that time to, you know, say like, do you take, and everything. And then, you know, Buddy looks at the groom and says, do you take Ashley to be your lawfully wedded wife? But Ashley was the groom's ex's name. Doesn't it? Doesn't it just feel good? To just let it out. Oh. You know, admittedly, I don't know much about dating, but I do know white people. And the weather has a real effect on y'all. It's a nice day out, and every person I made eye contact with has told me. Y'all saw the sunlight today. You were delighted. I was outside, and somebody walked up to me outside and was like, what a day. You know, and maybe it's just the New Yorker, but I was like, nah, I know, it's very good. They were like, nah, this is great. And in my head, I'm like, does it rain every other day or something? Good to know. No, I was happy for everyone. Everybody was having such a good time. You know, it's like the weather today felt like when your friend wants you to see a movie really bad, and then they watch it with you, but they watching you watch the movie to make sure you're enjoying it as much as. But then you're like, but I see it, and they're like, no, but are you paying attention? It's like, you not paying attention, you looking at me. There were a couple people I was concerned about. You know what I mean? Because there were a couple people, I was at the hotel, you know, I was chilling with Logan. We were about to go get something to eat. And there was one guy that was so happy, he got upset. You know what I mean? Like we saw him, you know, past him on the way out the elevator. He's like, it's a really nice day. I was like, oh, buddy, it sounds like you needed this one. It sounded like one more day of rain, something was gonna happen, all right? I can see that same dude looking out the window. If I see another drop of rain, everybody dying. Then the clouds broke and he was like, yes, yes, yes. Because I was enjoying the weather too. I just didn't feel like I was doing a good enough job. Okay, you know, like when you go to like Six Flags or something and you having fun, but your friend is having the best time ever, to where you're like, I don't think we at the same place. You know, like y'all both walking up to the line for the Batman ride. And I guess it's just perspective. I guess it's just when I walk up to the line, I see how long the line is. I'm like, oh, we gonna be standing here for 45 minutes. But he's looking up at the ride like, Batman. I'm like, yeah, buddy, yeah. Yeah, Batman, and we'll be there in 45 minutes. I had a realization that I'm getting older now, and as a man, like as a grown man, I'm actually too old now to get kidnapped. Like if I got snatched on the street and then they held me for ransom, as a man, you'd be like, nah, I live with y'all now. Like I can't. You can't send me back. That's too embarrassing. I just got snatched up like I was waiting for my mom after school. Y'all got me. We good. I'm part of the gang now. Can't send me back. Imagine, there's actually a statistic that nobody talks about. Thousands, I'm telling you, thousands of men go missing every year. We don't look, but thousands of men go missing. And I think it was 2021 where men going missing outpaced women going missing, right? And it's like an insane stat. When I was reading it, I didn't believe it. I was like, how is that possible? But I think it's because men know when they get snatched up, they're like, bro, just kill me, because I can't go back now. Imagine you a grown man with a family, right? You a grown man with children, and you got kidnapped, and then you come home and try to be the patriarch of your family, knowing you were a kidnapped man. You know what I mean? Knowing you a diet man, knowing you light. Standing there over your kid, telling him not to talk to strangers, and then your 8-year-old go, well, Dad, between the two of us, I'm not the one that's been snatched up before. I'm not the one that's walking around irresponsibly. I'm just not as strong as I'd like to be. You know what I mean? Like, there have definitely been things that needed to be picked up. How about this? Very few people in my life have ever asked me to help them move.
That's how you know you come off a little anemic to your friends. You know what I mean? Because I actually have anemia. But like my thing is, if you're in the throes of like being your absolute strong, maybe I've watched too many movies, but I've just want to have like one period in my life where like I walk past stuff and I think about picking it up without the injury that might occur. You know what I mean? There have been people, okay, as an example, I try to be helpful, right? And I was in New York and I was I was on a subway and I was getting up the stairs. I had already got off the train, right? And on the second, there were 3 rows of stairs, right? And on the second row of stairs was a young mom who had a stroller with a baby in it, right? So then I'm like, okay, she already got up the first one. I'm not just gonna assume that she needs help, but the fact that she's doing it by herself and the stroller is hitting every step, she's shaking the baby. Like that's undeniable. Just bow, 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 right? And so then I'm walking up and she looks like she's really contemplating how to do the second and third set of stairs because I think she must also felt like that was a lot of shaking, right? And so then I walk up and I'm like, hey, would you like a little help up? And then she was like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then I actually go down a couple stairs, you know, so I can like protect my back, lift with my legs and everything, and keep the baby at the right trajectory because now the baby's still gonna be at an angle. He's not gonna be like this and then. So then I grab the bottom of the stroller and I go to pick it up and I put in the effort, but the baby doesn't move. And I cannot tell if the stroller is made of titanium or if this baby is secretly 12. Like, because this is what's so embarrassing about what's happening right now, is that I have 2 people, one of which doesn't have object permanence yet, but 2 people who know exactly what's going on. They know that I've now offered to help and I cannot help. Because as I'm really, like, did you ever see The Sword and the Stone? It was... Because my hams and my quads are wiggling. And so I've got the wiggle going. So I know I'm putting in the effort, right? And I even readjusted and put my foot on a different step. Because I was like, that's a bad step. I don't like that step. That's what it is. That step was too low. It wasn't doing my legs any justice. Let me get up another step. So then I put, but this is a worse position to be in, right? So now I'm lower, and now I'm wiggling. But the thing, okay, so I'm wiggling so hard, and then I look up a little bit, and the baby is like. And I never thought that being judged by a baby would help me access more glute use than I ever thought possible. Because then I look up and the mom is also like, and so then I look past them because they are not helping me right now. And I finally lift it up a little bit. And I get maybe knee height, right? Which this is not comfortable to go upstairs with weight, okay? But I start pushing, and I get up one step, and get up another step. And I cannot believe that this mom did this by herself, because I'm like, this is with help. And so sure enough, you know, climbing up, and maybe a quarter of the way on the second set of steps, I start to feel a pain. I shouldn't say a pain. I started to feel 3 pains. One was in my back, one was in my quad, and one was in my hamstring. And other people are passing us, because I wasn't the only one that got off the subway. And as we're passing by, this other guy was passing by, much bigger dude, but he was like, "Do y'all need help?" Which is devastating. You ever been a good Samaritan and needed a good Samaritan? It was terrible. So then I'm turning to him to be like, I'm about to answer, and then the mom is like, "Yes." And so then this dude, with one hand, moves my hand and starts to take up some of the slack, right? And in my head, I'm like, all right, it's gonna be the 3 of us together. And okay, all right. So this dude moves this hand with this hand, moves it out of the way, and so now I'm just pinching both my hands on this other part, but he really is keeping it level in a way that's devastating. And then he was like, it brightens my day to help out a young, beautiful couple like y'all. Which means that as he was walking up the steps and got level with me, he was sure I couldn't carry my own son. And so I'm holding this one, and he's holding this one with one hand, right? Other hand in his pocket. He chilling. And then almost immediately, this young Bob says, "Oh, we're not together." And in my head, I'm like, you couldn't fake. You couldn't save me the embarrassment for 17 more steps. We don't know this man. I don't know you. We're not together. And so then he goes, "Ooh, oh, okay. Well, we all try to make things work the best way possible." Now he thinks I am an absent father that isn't able to carry my own son. And so then she's like, "No, I don't know him." I was like, you really had to throw me under the bus right now. You couldn't just pretend to know me for 15 more steps. And then he goes, "Oh." And now he knows that I'm a stranger that can't pick up his not son. And I try to help people and everything, but this is too embarrassing. So after about the 4th step, I was like, "Hey, I'm late." Do you think you could? And then he was like, "Oh yeah." And then he, both hands, and I walked up the stairs by myself and then ran. When I got to the top, I did not want to be seen again. That was terrible. How are you gonna, we not together? No, I don't know him. How are you? Just trying to be helpful. But I was hurt, like my pride was hurt. And so then I went home and got online and Googled the weight of that stroller, because I was like, this thing has got to be like at least 100 pounds or something. Try and make myself feel better. Turns out it was all baby. That stroller is 8 pounds. I'm surprised it was holding the kid up. I was watching the news because at first I saw it on the news and then it spilled over to social, so I was watching a lot of it. I saw where Tyreek Hill got stopped by the police, right? And I don't think he got arrested. I mean, he got detained for a bit, but he still made it to the game and did quite well. But the whole thing was pretty wild, and I made sure to watch like everything that got released, like the full body cam footage and everything, because I saw just so many people arguing about it online, right? And in case you didn't see it, basically Tyreek Hill, who's a football player, right? He is he's driving and gets pulled over, right? And anytime I'm on Twitter and I see like a video of a black dude getting pulled over, I'm like, well, it was a good day. I don't know what I'm about to see. And so, you know, you see the body cam footage of the cop walking up after they pulled him over to Tyreek's window. And Tyreek is sitting there in the car and everything, and then the cop knocks on the window, and then Tyreek lowers his window, looks at the cop and goes, "Don't knock on my window like that," and then rolls the window back up. And as an African American audience member, I was like, uh-oh. And you can tell, even the cop, you can't see his face because it's his body cam, but you can tell he's like, what? What just happened? So then he knocks on the window again, and he's like, yo, keep the window down. And he's like, don't knock on my window like that, right? Don't knock on my window like that. And they just go back and forth. He's like, keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Now, to be fair, by now the window is just down. Like he's just, it's kind of like one of those things where you arguing with somebody, but they are doing the thing you asked them to do, but you still mad. So then you're like, and keep doing it. You just don't know what to say next. You're like, and stay doing it. And so then, you know, he hands him his license and registration, and then he rolls the window back up. And like, look. Look. Rolling the window up on anybody. I've never seen a respectful rolling of the window up, right? Like when I've been out and I've been in situations and I roll the window up, it's very clear what I mean, right? I remember one time I was with my friend Mike in Chicago, and he was giving me a ride home from a show, and there was this one dude that was in the street, middle of the street. And, you know, we had a pretty clear, we were in Chicago, and so we're going down like that Argyle area and everything, and we have a pretty clear street because it's so late at night, right? And it's, it's like maybe 2:30 in the morning because I had a late show and I stayed to talk with people and stuff like that. And Mike is giving me this ride back, and we've got the windows down and everything. But then we're at a red light, and we see a red light away this guy who's been in the street, and we could tell from the distance, is just running in the street, no shirt on, everything. And then Mike just goes, let me roll up my window because this nigga is making me nervous. Rolling up the window is not both like a power move. Sometimes it's also a move of like, I really don't want to look at you right now. And so the cop knocks on the window again. He's like, hey, keep the window down. And then Tyreek is like, yo, just give me my ticket so I can go, right? And as an African American audience member, I was like, oh. You know? And so then cop tells him one more time, he's like, yo, keep the window down before I take you out of the car. Matter of fact, get out of the car, right? So he just immediately decides, like, no, open this door. Open the door before I break the window. Open the door, right? And so then Tyreek is like, okay, damn, all right. And so he unlocks the door, and then they pull the door open, and they start pulling Tyreek out. He's like, okay, I'm getting down, damn, right? And now they're pushing him down and everything. And he's like, hey, careful. I just had surgery on my knee. And they're telling him. And then the guy, you know, the same cop as before, is like, oh, that's convenient. You didn't have surgery on your knee in the car when you couldn't keep the window up. And I was like, that's not how knees work. And so they got Tyreek down flat on the ground. I can't remember if they handcuffed him or they zip tied him or they just had him with his hands right here. And you gotta keep in mind that this is all for like some speeding. Like if you're speeding and they catch you, they just arrest you because you're speeding that much, you know? Like if you're going the speed of the temperature in Arizona, you're just... you're just going to jail. But all of this happens, speeding a little bit, right? And then, you know, he's on the ground, hands down, everything. He's trying to call someone to let them know that he's gonna be late, which is courteous. And then, you know, I don't know when in the sequence this happened, because then this is from a different angle, but I watched something that was fully put together, right? So I don't know if this one was on police body cam, but this was just like a part of the footage. And then, you know, Tyreek said something along the lines of like, yeah, another black man trying to drive in America, right? And then the same cop as before says like, oh, I'm Cuban, don't play that shit with me, right? Which isn't quite, like I see where he was trying to get, but no, the 2 points kind of miss each other, right? And then, you know, there was another player who had stopped his car and got out just to see what was happening, because he saw Tyreek's car, Tyreek on the ground and everything. And so then he's trying to call somebody, and Tyreek is telling him like, yo, call whoever. I don't know if it's like the GM or I don't know who he wants him to call, but he keeps saying the same name. So then that guy goes, okay. But then the cop sees that guy and goes, yo, you can't stop there. Get back in your car. You can't stop there. Get back in your car right now. He's like, okay, I'm getting back in my car. I was just trying to see what's happening. Don't worry about what's happening. Get back in your car right now. Drive off, right? And he's like, okay, and even as he's moving towards his car, the cop was like, you know what? You too. And then takes him. And it did get to the point where I was like, are they gonna arrest the city? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you drive by, you get curious. You're like, you know, maybe you're in your car and you drive by a little slow. You're like, is that Tyreek Hill? And the cop's like, you can get some too. Like, you know? But it just got me to thinking, like, wow, all of this. And our expectation, the fact that we expected it to be worse than it was, you know? Because I want to be clear about something. Tyreek Hill was, if you watch the tape, he was being an asshole because he thought he could get away with it, right? He thought he had enough money. He thought he had enough, like, access or proximity to maybe how his white friends move, you know? That he thought he could be an asshole and get away with it. And I want to be clear, the cops in that situation were also being assholes because they thought they could get away with it. But only one of those two parties was at work. Do you know what I mean? Everybody has a bad day. Everybody can't be perfect, and some people are assholes through and through, right? But being an asshole isn't illegal. One of those parties has a gun, has the ability to kill, has the power to move people where they want them to go, you know? And it's a terrifying thing because my thing is like, take race out of it for a second, right? The way that the police are allowed to move is what creates the expectation. It just happens to get to a certain place with black people more often than not. But it's the way that we're all police and the thing that we all allow as long as it's happening to somebody else that keeps the system intact. You know? And so I've watched the police do all manner of things in different videos to different people, right? But there's a certain place we let it get to in our minds where we just accept that, like, oh man, you disrespected a cop, you about to get your ass beat. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? Why is that? Because I'm not trying to make it as if race isn't an actual issue in it. It's like inextricably linked to it. But at the same time, trust me when I say anybody can get it. I've watched so many videos of people, kids, you know? And it's because of the way that we let police move and also what we ask police to do, right? There should just be a scanner. If you're speeding, we'll catch you. And I don't have to talk to the dude with the gun. That would be nice. That would be so much better to just, I was speeding, you got me, that's my bad, I was speeding, and now I don't get tapped on the window by a dude that I know is armed that's not having a great day. You know? Because I've even watched, like you wouldn't believe, you know, I've watched my white friends move around the police in a way that I could never imagine, right? But I've also watched them. There's a weird leveling off that happens when it comes to policing, where sometimes white people get loud or get violent with the police, and the police go, I'm white too, so like, let's nix that now. You gotta get your ass beat today. You know? And I've also seen black police tuning up black kids, right? But it's also the expectation that we have of police and the way that we allow them to move that like leads to situations like this. You know what I mean? It's terrifying to be pulled over by the police, just in my view, as a black person. Not even because I'm like, man, this cop's definitely gonna be racist. It's more just what can happen and what they can get away with that's terrifying. And I know that we're not all feeling the same way, but in my opinion, we should all be terrified. Because everything's well and good until it happens to you. And trust me when I tell you it can happen to you. In college, I had a friend who was getting a little drunk, right? He was pretty drunk. And, you know, he got loud with a cop. And I was trying to, you know, dissuade him. But I was doing it from a distance, like a coach. You know what I mean? Like I was... You know, I was like, hey, I know you white, but you gonna get tased. I'm telling you. The way you moving right now is taser behavior, okay? That white skin can only protect you for so long. You about to get that ass beat, I'm telling you. I've seen too many videos of people doing what you do, and they never end well. And they didn't tase them, but let's just say I did eventually have to yell out, I'll see you back at the door. I don't want these problems.
Mira.